Alright, welcome back everyone. This time we're going to do some upgrades to that bike. I've been holding it off for a little bit, but it's time to do it. So yeah, I just want to switch the forks over and some other stuff as well. Hope you like it. Cheers. Alright, so here's the bike. It's a little bit jammed for space in here. So what I need to do is take this front rack off. You can see it's kind of all joined up. Take the E-kit off, take this wheel off. Gotta take stuff off here. And hopefully I don't have to undo too much. I also realized it has a hanger, so hopefully this hanger works. So I might need to find a different hanger for the brake. I'll probably keep all this the same, and I might need to recable, but we'll see how we go. And then the other plan is to switch out this rear wheel because it has like a black rim, and I just want to match the front. I have like an other old Mavic, can't remember what number it is, but it's a silver rim, and then I can keep these XT wheel set together. I took off the front already. So yeah, that's basically it. And then since I have the rack off, maybe a new front rack, but we'll see how we go. So yeah, here's this bike. You can see I've already taken the brakes off here. That makes it easy already. I'm gonna take these forks and switch them over. Pretty cool forks, kind of want to keep them. These forks are pretty cool. They're straight blade, and a lot of people ask what they are. They're actually pre-parked factory racing forks. You can probably see it a bit better right here. You can also see the fork has a mount hole here, which the Diamondback only has it on the back. So I think this would be better for like a front rack or something. And yeah, this metal bit's pretty thick itself, so it should be pretty strong too. And I'm gonna take off the headset as well and swap that over. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the rest of this bike, but yeah, we'll see how we go with this. Just taking off the pedals off here. These Rob Warner pedals, famous for messing people's shins up. And then yeah, just getting the front wheel off so I can take the forks off. These are worm bars by Magic Components, if you're wondering. And then here, just taking off the headset. This is actually a sealed headset. But yeah, just make sure you put your tool in and it sits on the headset cup itself and not the lug. This head tube was a little bit weird where you could easily mistaken the lug for the top of the headset cap. But yeah, you gotta be careful with that, otherwise you're trying to tap the lug off. Here, taking off the straps and taking off this switch kit. It's all the zip ties, and I had it on the front of the rack. It seems like that was the best place for it, so I'm going to keep it in that position most likely. So yeah, you can see the rack was held on by a little clamp and just a band and not on the eyelet, so that was one of the reasons why I want to switch the fork out. It does hold up pretty well, but I think because I tend to carry like wheels and bikes on my front rack, or frames at least, yeah, I just want it to be a little bit more solid. And then here, just taking off the front fork. You can see the front fork, the headset was getting a little bit loose, and I've been riding it like that for a little bit, and yeah, that's another reason why I want to switch it out as well. So yeah, I just took the fork off. You can see it's actually pretty, seems like it's pretty minced. The threads are worn down in this area. So yeah, I think that probably just comes with having a loose headset and then not tightening it, or just the threads got weak or whatever. But yeah, I think these forks can probably go on another bike. If it can go on a smaller bike, you can just cut the top off. But I don't know, the steer is kind of short already, so we'll see how we go with that. And then these, you can see some of the bearings fell out. The caged bearings. I've got new bearings so I can put them in, but I don't know. This might have reached the end of its life. So yeah, I'm gonna put it aside, keep getting this out, and then put the other fork on. Yeah, here's me just taking the bearings out. You can see the bearings fell out of the cage, and then taking out the headset in the same way. Yeah, shout out Darren for giving me this tool. He donated this tool. Been using it since, and it's super solid. Tioga Avenger headset removal tool. Alright, there we go, all out. Pretty cool how it has like the orange on the inside. And it came out relatively easy, it wasn't seized or anything, so that's always a good sign. Back from the original video, I painted the headset. I got a few comments about that, pretty funny. But yeah, the paint came off pretty clean. So I can finally replace it, and yeah, I'm gonna give it a clean and install the headset I took off. Yeah, so you're gonna install this threadless with the sealed bearings. Yeah, so I was quite surprised how well this headset spun or lasted. It's by VP for Cane Creek, and it's sealed bearings, and I don't know, the construction must have been pretty solid because it still spun really well. But yeah, I just basically gave it a clean, and then here just using the DIY headset installation tool. Just basically it's a rod and some plates from Bunnings, and then you just clamp it on. You just got to make sure it's straight when you do it. And yeah, it's not much to it. Make sure you grease up the cups when you put them in. Make sure they're straight, and then yeah, clamp it down till it hits the head tube, and it should work pretty well. Make sure you put the cups in the right position, and then yeah, he's just chucking on the forks, giving it a clean, a wipe down. Yeah, some people grease it, some people don't because it's sealed bearings. I give it a little bit of grease anyway, like may as well, why not? And then yeah, that fit perfect. Also, I want to say this head tube is 1 1/8, so just make sure if you're changing it out, you have an oversized head tube, not the old school 1-inch one, otherwise it won't fit. So one issue I have is this is for threaded forks, so it'd be cool to get a new hanger, but this is all I have right now. So I'm gonna just file this off and it should fit. Hopefully this curve area can go over the headset. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So yeah, this little hanger is for 1 1/8 headsets, so yeah, you just gotta make sure if you're ordering a new one, make sure you get the right size. I think there was a period of time where they made 1 1/8 threaded headsets, but it didn't last that long. Ended up switching to threadless. But yeah, if you get an old bike with a 1 1/8 head tube with threaded, you can easily switch it over to threadless. It's pretty cool like that. And then you can upgrade it pretty easy, and the frame lasts for another 20 years. And then here, just putting on the stem and handlebars. Yeah, pretty straightforward here. You're just going to tighten the bolts up, slide everything on, make sure it's the right height for yourself, and then yeah, putting all the brake cables back on. I was lucky enough where I didn't have to cut new brake cables. And then here, yeah, just taking off the front wheel, or putting the front wheel on, I mean. So I ended up just slamming this, and I just had to run one spacer so this wouldn't hit. But yeah, things looking pretty cool. Alright, here's the wheel. What's up, Mavic? These are pretty hard, pretty solid. I gave it a spin. Feels alright, but I might give it a service. This is 8-speed, small cassette. I think someone had it as like a racing cassette because it has a really small range. On this bike, it's a 7, so I might switch the cassette over as well. So yeah, this wheel is actually off the old carbon frame that I worked on. That had a cracked frame near the BB. But I think the hub itself, I'm guessing it's a LX hub, just because of the shape and color. But yeah, I could be wrong. It had some other LX stuff on the bike, if I remember correctly. But yeah, you can see the hub was pretty gross, pretty dirty, the hub body. And then here I'm just kind of getting it out because I'm just going to service it as well, put fresh bearings on. And then yeah, using a magnet tool just to get all the bearings out, give it a clean. I think the free hub body was pretty rough at this stage, but I just wanted to clean it up and see how it would freshen up. But yeah, I gave everything a clean, put some new grease in, put some new ball bearings in, and ended up spinning pretty well. But yeah, it's a little bit fiddly with, you can see all the little parts going into the hub, and then you got to make sure you tension it right. And then I gave the rim a clean as well on the outside, ended up cleaning up pretty nicely. And yeah, just switching out the back wheel, going to change the tire here. Just make sure you check your rim, make sure there's no holes, and the rim tape is fine. I think there was a tiny little gap in the rim tape that I put a little tape over just to make sure once the tube goes in there's no punctures. But yeah, funny thing about this wheel is the wheel and the old wheel, the axle lengths are different sizes. So I think one is 130 and the other is 135. So I ended up pulling just pulling the rear dropouts apart with my arms, and you can just chuck it in. Like 5 mils, not going to make too much of a difference. You might have to redish the wheel, but that's basically it. Alright, so I swapped it over, but it doesn't really sound that good. So this free body I think is kind of shot. It's not too bad, I could probably run it, but I'm going to try to swap this 7-speed one over. So it'll be a 7-speed Shimano free body hub to this one's an 8-speed, 8, 9, 10 speed. I don't know if they're going to fit, but I read online it said it should. So see how we go. Alright, so I actually found this old hub, and I'm going to take this one off instead of this one, because I figure I just keep the XT stuff together, and then this is just an XH. I will have to sacrifice this XH. I'm going to have to clamp it onto something, but honestly I'm not going to relace this hub to anything anyway. Yeah, so when you're taking free bodies off, it's just I think 10 mil Allen wrench, and yeah, definitely do it with the wheels still on or laced to a wheel, otherwise it's like super hard, and then yeah, you got to sacrifice a hub. But yeah, this was already apart. Alright, I was able to get it off. You can see that's totally minced, but yeah, pretty stoked. Came off just like that. Yeah, I almost gave up, but I did it. So yeah, I'm gonna give this a clean up, and then I'll take the other one off, and I should be able to install it, hopefully. So yeah, just giving it a clean here with the wire brush and WD-40. Ended up cleaning up alright, I think. You know, not the best, but it's gonna do the job for what I need it for. And then here, switching it out, I was kind of pretty excited about this because I didn't know it was gonna fit. But yeah, I read online on Sheldon Brown that most of these Shimano ones should kind of just switch over, and yeah, he was right. You can kind of just take the free body and just, it's the same system, you can just put it on. So pretty stoked about that, learning something new. And you can see that the free hub body spun pretty well. I was pretty stoked on that until I tried to put the cassette on, and then I realized the cassette didn't fit at all because the hub I put on was Hyperglide, and then this is just a normal one. So I ended up taking the old one, seeing if I could service it. I did take just the seal off, and then gave it a little wipe down, and yeah, it was kind of rough, but then I put new grease in. You can see me here putting new grease in. At the end of the day, it's going to be not as good as you know, brand new, of course, but you do what you can. But yeah, you can spin you can see when you spin it, it actually just sucks the grease in, which is pretty cool. And then yeah, just putting the seal back on, and yeah, it ended up spinning better than what it was. Like the crunching noises were gone, so that's great. And I think just for like a rear cassette on an e-bike, it's going to be fine. So yeah, I ended up chucking that back on, and you know, re-putting the axle bearings in, everything like that. It was a little bit fussy changing the free hub body, but yeah, ended up being a lot quicker than I thought, just because I got used to taking it off and putting it back on. And then here, yeah, you can see it, not the best, but it's gonna do the job. And yeah, you can see it's spinning a bit smoother now, so pretty stoked on that. Alright, here it is, finally done. Pretty messy out here, but I'll clean it up. But yeah, I think it looks cool with the rims, or the matching wheels at least. You can see this sub almost looks the same shape as the front, funny enough. So pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with the fork, how this fork turned out. I did take that front rack off. I'm just going to build a new one. And yeah, I just got to index the gears, but I think it's pretty good. Oh yeah, one more thing I want to chuck on. I want to chuck on a stand, but I don't know how much room is in that tiny little bit here. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, so I went to Bunnings and I took a look and I decided just to make this work because all the materials with the price added up, you may as well just buy a new rack. So yeah, sometimes you gotta think about it logically. So I'm gonna try and put this up, make this work, and the only real issue I had with it was how it connected to the front eyelet. So maybe I can build something to work that out. Maybe like a small bracket or something. Hopefully these eyelets fit on the front fork. I'm gonna bring this back a little bit so it fits the basket a bit better. It's kind of sticking out at the moment. Yeah, so see how I go. Alright, so I just chucked it on, just like here, loose. Issue here is I want to make a bracket that kind of comes out, and then you can screw the holes, screw these bolts on the side, and I think that will be better than having it attached to here, because this doesn't go all the way through, it's just on one side. You can see that. But the good thing about this rack, it has so many holes, so you can adjust it however you want, which is pretty cool. This is an old Cannondale rack, rear rack, that I converted to front. So I'm going to build this bracket first, and then sort out this stuff after. So yeah, I had to take the rack apart for it to for me to measure the gap between the two stays, and you can see I still have this old piece of metal from the rack I built, this bit I messed up on, but I'm just going to reuse it. So I found the spacing, and then yeah, just use the shifter just to bend it. I couldn't really bend it anymore, so I decided to clamp it on. Because I wanted the bend to be a little bit smoother, just clamp it onto the edge of my bench, and then yeah, just use your weight and it should bend. And then here, just sawing off the end, of course. Yeah, kind of just freestyle it. I'm sure if you have a vise or something, it's probably better to put it in a vise, but yeah, you can also just hold it. And then here, just filing off the ends, making sure it's not sharp. But yeah, I was pretty stoked on this one, and then I just had to drill holes in it, so just making sure it's the center. And then yeah, same thing once again, just do a little punch for the drill bit beforehand, and then yeah, drill away. Got to just go up the different sizes, and you know, wear eye protection, and when you're drilling, don't pull it down too quick, just let the drill do the work, and it should work, especially for little pieces like this. You don't want it to kind of fly off. But yeah, here it is, pretty hyped with how it turned out. And then just chucking it on here with the bolt. Yeah, it ended up being pretty solid after I chucked it on. And then yeah, chucking on the rack was a little bit fiddly because there were so many different positions, but it took a little bit, but I worked it out at the end. Alright, it took a minute, but finally got the rack to where I want it. So it kind of looks like this. I'm pretty happy with this. This one turned out pretty damn solid. And then the only other issue now is getting the bolt through here. So yeah, the bolt fits, but the inside, you can see here, is quite, there's not that much room. So I have to find a right size bolt for it to fit just like this. And then here, this one coming down, this doesn't fit because this bottom bit here is too thick. No way, like this bit's too fat. So I'll do a bit of grinding and hopefully it can fit. Yeah, so when you're grinding, grind the least amount possible because it'll make your stay stronger. And I basically just kept grinding, kept checking, make sure the bolt fit, and then I did the same on both sides. Ended up fitting pretty nicely, and then using these nylock washers on the inside. Alright, so I'm going to flip this over. See how this always goes down? I took the bolts off you can just kind of slide them out, and I'm just going to rotate this way so that the cable goes up. Yeah, I don't know why it was like this in the first place, but I'm going to switch it. I don't think it's going to make a difference. And then you can see I put on the rack, but it's quite close with the lock nut, but I want to run a nylock to be more safe. Here's the other side. You can see what I've done here. I just ran a washer on the inside, so it's not too close to the hub. And then I'm going to do the same with this one as well. Yeah, I guess ideally I could have just take these bolts off, but I already put a washer on the other side, so I may as well even it out. Alright, that took a bit, but it's all on there now. Super solid. Yeah, pretty stoked on this. Now I just gotta tighten this stuff up, put the basket on, and we're good. So yeah, ended up being pretty solid. Just chucking on the rest of the stuff here just with the screws. But yeah, having the 2 stays I think made it pretty solid, and then the little bracket on the fork was quite nice as well. It didn't really spin at all, and I think having the 2 prong actually made it stronger. Here just putting the cable through. I just ended up cabling it to the rack itself, nice and clean, and then here just chucking on the switch kit. Alright, that's basically it for the front. I think this feels pretty good. It feels way better than before. It probably doesn't look too much different, but yeah, it feels different. And then yeah, just gotta chuck on the rack now, and I think we're done. Yeah, I ended up redishing the back wheel so it's in the center of the stays. I didn't end up filming it, but you can see now it's spinning nice. Alright, so here's the stand. It's SG Pleasure Swiss made. I think it holds up to 25 kilos. And you can see how it fits on here. Super tight. I did create a plate before for the top, so we'll see how that goes. If not, I do have this one as well. So yeah, when putting the stand on, one of the things about these stands is you got to make sure you don't clamp down too hard, otherwise you could crimp your own stays. I read that online somewhere, so yeah, just make sure when you do it, just be careful, and you kind of just use your judgment on how tight it should be. Alright, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see it slightly leans to the right when I put the stand up. So I think I'm going to have to give this a little file just to even it out. Alright, pretty straight I think, pretty decent. Took a while. I would not recommend. Alright, that's basically the vid. Yeah, ride's pretty sick. I'm pretty stoked to just have everything solid on this bike once again. Sometimes with bikes they're kind of like that, you gotta keep fixing them as they go. But yeah, little tweaks, probably doesn't look too much different from how it was, but yeah, super stoked with how it turned out. Thank you everyone for the support, and yeah, as always, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I will catch you in the next vid. Peace.